Hey, I'm Tommy Chong. Welcome to High on Homegrown.
Yes, everybody, and welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from PercysGrowRoom.com. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to reduce energy costs when you're growing cannabis indoors. Because with lighting and heating, extraction and fans, it can all add up and become very expensive. And of course, nowadays for people in Europe, it's getting more and more expensive. So we're just looking at ways which you might be able to reduce the bill a little bit. Also, in this episode, we have special guest Chad Westport, who has been on the show many times before. He really needs no introduction now. Super cool guy, and you can check him out on his website, chadwestport.com. As usual, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you think this information is going to be useful to a friend of yours, then please share the episode with them. The YouTube algorithms and the different algorithms, they don't promote us very much because we're cannabis related. So we rely on you guys, the listeners of the show, to help the show grow. So if you can share this episode or any other episode that we've done with a friend or family member who might enjoy the show, then please do that because it would help us out a shitload. But for now, here is the episode. Thank you for downloading. I'll catch you at the end of this. See you in a bit. So this week, as many of our European listeners know, and I'm sure everybody around the world knows, because it's on the news all the time, energy prices are going fucking crazy right now. And winter's coming for the northern hemisphere, so people are going to be paying for their heating to go back on and, just trying to keep the house warm. So energy bills are going to get crazy for some people right now. And, with the cost of living crisis and all of this shit, things are getting expensive, man. So we're going to try and figure out some ways to reduce the cost of growing, which is what this episode is all about, without trying to reduce the yield too much, because you don't want that to be affected, but you don't want to be spending a fortune on growing as well. But no matter how massively the energy prices increase, it's still going to be much cheaper to be growing your own cannabis at home. So at least we have that for now. But that might change one day.
For now.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so what's going on in Australia, Bubble Hawk? Are you having any trouble with the energy prices and shit? Is that changing?
Yeah. So apart from energy prices, fuel prices went up as well. So they scrapped the government excise on that. So now you're copping an extra 30 cents minimum. The day they changed it, everyone's petrol prices went up. So we're looking at about depending on what grade you're getting, anywhere from around about $1.80 per litre up to about $2.30, I think was the worst I saw it per litre for fuel. But per electricity litre prices, it's a bit pricey. But as far as energy prices have gone up, they've probably gone up 35% roughly minimum. And then there's others that would have gone up more depending. Like it tends to be the smaller providers that are charging people more because they've obviously got to get it from the.
They don't get fucking tax subsidies from the government. That's why.
Yeah. Well, we had a guy come out and say he was running his own power company, and he came out and said to all of the users of his, and all of his customers, he goes, you're better off going and finding another provider.
Too much stress, mate. He's going to end up shooting himself in the head twice, wink, wink.
Well, I think that's why he just did it now. He just went, no, fuck it, just everybody go because I can't, there's no way. And I can't make it as cheap as they can make it because I don't buy as much. So when it comes down to it, you're going to have to pay more. I mean, you're more than welcome to stay with me, but you're going to pay more. So at least he was honest about it.
Well, I mean, and that's rare from an energy company. They're all just they love making money. But in the States, because I spoke to you briefly about this a few days ago, didn't I, Monkey? You said that your energy prices haven't changed too much. I mean, the fuel has, but
things have changed a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I was comparing prices of when we moved in this home versus where I am now, and our fuel prices aren't. I mean, what I'm paying actually is less for energy now than it was then. But we've done things. We've added LED lights instead of incandescent lamps, and got rid of some lesser efficient fluorescent fixtures that were being problematic. And Of course, my kids left, and when they leave, the computer's not at least one computer goes with them, so it's not running all the time. But overall, I think just by going through various energy efficiency things, lowering thermostats, changing the way we live, I'm not paying any more money now than I was, and probably less than I was 15 years ago.
Well, us here in the UK, we're using a new type of lighting, which we haven't used it for a while, called candles. You know, it's not got that bad yet, but I imagine it coming to that. Shit.
Well, aren't you? I saw an article saying that you were all going to go and burn your power bills.
Yeah, there's a lot of protests going on here, but it doesn't get reported on the news. There was like tens of thousands of people in each big city in the UK went out just yesterday. It was, they were fucking everywhere in every big city. Not a word of it on the BBC. Not a word. Wonder why that is. Crooked ass motherfuckers. What about up in Canada? How are you going, Marge? What's the deal with your energy bills? Are you seeing a change in the prices?
Yeah, I think so. They're trending upward like everything else is right now because of inflation, but it's just one of those, it's so cold here most of the time. It's just cost of doing business.
Yeah.
You kind of have to pay it. You can't really do anything because if you don't, when it's -40, things break.
Yeah. People die.
Yeah.
Crazy shit, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems to be just a European thing, really, with the extreme rises in prices, because they've gone up like 200% since this time last year or something crazy. I don't even watch the news about it anymore.
There is, but where's the conversation about the efficiency of the home? I think that's been a conversation a lot in the US.
But it has been in the UK as well, because we've had them, what are they called, man? Insulate Britain is what they were called, that movement, and they kept gluing their faces to the road and shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, good, stupid, man, stupidness. But that was what they were saying. We need to be a lot more efficient with our energy uses and insulate the homes properly. It's, interesting.
I mean, prices will rise, and that does suck because, again, it's something that you can't really do without. Your arm is behind your back. You're like, all right, I'll pay whatever. But sometimes that means, no medication, no food, no other things. But some of it can be kind of counteracted, at least by thinking in that perspective of efficiency at home.
And that's the key as well to reducing the amount your grow is costing, is efficiency. Be more efficient with it, especially when it comes to lighting. That's going to be the biggest thing that you're spending on with your energy bills. It's going to be the light you use. And for a long time, people used
maybe heating too. You got to watch that heat.
Yeah, then that's where properly insulating your grow tent matters. But I think, but heat still comes second to the lighting. Lighting is the big one. That's where you're going to spend most of your money, especially if you're using the old school HID lighting, like the HPS and the metal halide, CMH in some circumstances as well. If you're using the double-ended CMH, then that's going to be pricey too.
It's the one that's on the longest out of everything you're going to use in a grow tent. It's going to be the one thing that's on most consistently.
And most of us as home growers will be growing at home anyway. You'll be growing in your house, and your house is going to be heated. So you don't necessarily have to worry about heating so much. It might be a little cooler than the plants like, but it's better than sticking a fucking heater in there sometimes.
Yeah, that's where, you mentioned a heater in the tent, particularly with lights off, and sometimes weighing the extra cost of running a HPS versus something like an LED. The first winter I ran LED, I had to heat my tent because I'm like, oh, wow, okay, much different. And then I was actually surprised. And this was my point that I wanted to get to, is if you do wind up getting one of these small little personal heaters, with the safety things and the, double check so it doesn't burn your house down, pay attention to the wattage draw, because you'll be surprised on some of those how much that power actually adds up if you're running it constantly compared to a heater and an LED versus an HPS that provides heat. Something to consider.
And what was I going to say there with the heaters as well, before we move on to lighting and discuss that further? For heaters, an oil rad is better than one of those heater fans. Just get one of those small radiators that have oil on the inside, because once that reaches temperature, it's going to be warm for a long time. So you can get it warm and then turn it off for a while, and it will still be emitting heat for a while after you've turned it off. when if you've got like one of the fan heaters, then it's only really giving out heat while it's turned on, and that hey, you use up a shitload of electricity, man. But if you can go without it, then try and go without it. That would be what I would recommend. And a great way to control the heat in the grow room by using the lights is have a fan above the light blowing downwards, so it's blowing the heat downwards into the canopy rather than just being sucked straight out the top with the extractor.
That's a good tip, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing too with lighting, and potentially, well, and the same can be said for growing in the summer to mitigate heat. Put your lights on when it's the coldest part of your day. Usually at night when you're sleeping, you have the temperature a bit cooler, or if you're away with work, you don't have your furnace jacked up. Have your lights on during that time, so then when you're home and they're off, you heat up the house because you don't want to be cold either. So it kind of mitigates that a little bit.
Yeah, using your light for a heater in your own house. If you got a good carbon filter and the air's going to vent out and it's not going to stink, then you can use the heat that's being produced by your grow tent to heat the room it's in, for example, or parts of the house instead. That will help.
Or if you like the smell, just deal with it. Pump it back into the house.
Were you saying that, Chad?
Oh, I was just saying I've done that one. Heat the
Yes.
house with the grow tent. Yep.
Especially in the HPS days. Okay, no.
Yes.
You vent that heat straight outside. Are you crazy?
I mean, the light's on anyway, right? And it generates a lot of heat, so might as well.
And obviously, another way you can reduce, because you want to get a good efficient light. Try and get a good LED light because it's less wattage and they're more efficient. They do produce less heat, which is one of the reasons why they're so much more efficient. Is they don't spend so much energy making heat. But you can also reduce the amount of hours which the light is actually on. I mean, TG, you're only going on 12 right now, aren't you? You don't do 18.
Yeah, I'm doing my micro grow. So, I mean, depending on what your situation is, having it consistently under 12 is definitely a good way to reduce your energy usage. Obviously, 6 hours less.
And the plants will be smaller, but you can put more plants in there.
Yep. Less veg time equals less energy used.
It definitely works.
So yeah,
if you have a mother plant, you can take clones or something like that's a really good way to use that type of situation. And clones generally get a bit bigger than growing from seed right from 12. But yeah, that's a good way for sure.
Yeah, man, and it's expensive when the energy bills add up. And I mean, I don't even know, man. The wife just pays the bill, so I don't even ask about what it used to cost to what it's going to cost now. But my tents haven't been up for a while, so I don't even know. But when I put that shit back up, it's going to be costing me at least twice as much in energy as it used to. And we was already concerned about the fucking the red flag it raises when everybody else in the area is paying like a couple $100 a month for their electricity, and we're on like a monkey there. And it's like a monkey is slang £500 for it's UK slang. You know,
tell them you're
talking about me like that, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's costing me a monkey. God damn.
Really? Out of here. It cost you me, I'm out.
But yeah, when you're speaking to your neighbor and they're talking about, and the energy bill's gone up, man, I'm paying an extra £20 for mine. It's like, yeah, I'm paying an extra 80. What the fuck? But that's the way it goes, man.
An important metric too on that note is like, how much would you be paying otherwise for the amount of weed you're consuming? And work that out.
Yeah.
In the balance. Yeah, obviously, like you said earlier, it's going to be cheaper no matter what, but maybe there's some things you can look into if it's starting to get a little not so cheap. It's a good metric to at least kind of know where you're at. But yeah, it's like it's always going to be probably cheaper because as the prices go up, so it is the price of illegal and legal weed, right? So yeah,
it's crazy shit, man. I mean, Chilbert said there in the chat as well, you can go down to less and do 11-13 if you wanted to. And you can do that. At some point, though, you're going to start making a loss in yield. The plant isn't getting as much light as it would like to have. So there's going to be like less on it. But 12 is good. 11-13 is also good, but 18-6, obviously, yeah, it's a good third on
Probably.
top of what 12 is.
Yeah,
favorite.
autos, I mean,
Mhm.
are good, but they do best under 18.6 the whole
Mhm.
time. So maybe like
do.
photos would be the best.
And some
choice
people
too.
even do their lights for 24 hours a day, and it's time to
Yeah,
stop
I don't
that
know about
now,
that.
everybody.
Yeah.
It's
For
just too
various
much.
reasons, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's a lot.
My clone lights are on 24 hours a day, but it's like 20 watts.
Yeah, when you're
Yeah.
using them small T5s and shit.
There's nothing there, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I've run 24 once, I hated it, and then I've run 20 and 4, and that wasn't too bad. But if I'm running autos, 18 and 6 is a sweet spot.
Mhm.
It just seems to give them just enough time to have a little bit of lights off, relax and recoup, and then plenty of light to get them through flower and to produce properly. You don't need to be pumping 20. I know a lot of places are like, oh, they do great on 20 and 4, and yeah, they probably do, but it's an extra 2
Diminishing
hours.
returns, probably, right? Yeah.
Like it's not noticeable. There's not, I didn't see a noticeable difference between 20 and 4 and 18 and 6 other than in the power bill. So
Yeah.
Maybe my next auto run, I'll go ahead and change 2 different tents up, one on 20 and 4 and one on 18.6, same strain, see what happens.
yeah,
And Joe, what you're saying there, 14 and a half hours is enough to keep a plant in veg. Yes, man. So if you do need to veg plant for a little bit longer, it doesn't necessarily have to be 18 hours a day either. You can bring it down for a couple of hours. Just try and reduce what you can, because over like a 90-day grow, 2 hours a day adds up to 180 hours, man. And that's a shitload, especially if you're running heavy bulbs.
Mhm.
Who
Don't
said
forget too.
sorry, TJ?
Oh no, you continue. I'll
Just Alan said here in the chat, UK electricity has gone up 5 pence per kilowatt hour on October 1st. That means for every hour that you use 1000 watts, and if you got your grow light, you're in a 4x4, for example. If you're using a 4x4 grow tent, 4 foot by 4 foot, 1.2 meter by 1.2 meter grow tent, then you're using a 600 watt HPS or something equivalent to that with LED form, which won't be necessarily 600 watts, it'll be like 4. But then with your
480
fans
usually,
and
yeah.
your fans and your extraction, some heat, then it's a good estimate to just say that you're around 1,000 watts to run your grow tent. And every hour that's going to be costing you a certain amount of money. And you can go to your electricity provider and find out how much they're charging per kilowatt hour. There might be a standing order where they just charge you every day simply for being connected to electricity. And then you can figure out pretty much how much your grow tent costs to run every day. And you can try and just reduce what you can out there. In the early days, you don't need too many fans running. During veg, you don't need to have active intake. You can have passive intake and the plants will be very happy. You don't need too many oscillating fans in the tent. Just one will do for a while. I mean, I'd start to get concerned around flowering time, and then add just the later flowering time when the flowers are actually forming, then add a couple more fans at that stage to try and reduce the chances of bud rot. But up until that stage, you should be okay with just one fan, just moving the air around the room.
Yeah, I want to say probably just the 14.5 is definitely going to be strain dependent. I'm sure there's some that will, but that's not going to work for everything. But you can also run lower power, lower PAR, lower PPFD
right.
in veg. You do not need that, 100% full strength like you would in flower. And you can also kind of cheat it too if you are keeping things short and squat, maybe get something with a heavier blue presence in the lighting, or even like a dedicated blue strip. You can still kind of run lower power in veg and try to keep it more compact by using the blue wavelength, which tends to promote shorter internodal strength or size. And I don't know, you were kind of mentioning, Mackie, of just being able to contact the power company and see what the rates are. In the US, particularly in major cities, energy is more expensive during the day than it is at night because of resource draw. So I know you guys had mentioned running at night for other advantages, but that might also be a way to do it a little bit cheaper, have the lights on in the evening.
I was gonna ask you about that because we don't do that in Canada. It's the same 13 whatever cents per kilowatt hour all the
Okay.
time. But
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot of places that meter
Yeah,
it,
we do
right?
TG. They do like locally. They do off-peak hours where I am.
Do they?
Oh yeah.
Or maybe they just average it out then on my bill because I only get
Well,
one.
It might be just the tariff that you're on specifically. You might be able to
A
change
lot
the
of
tariff
bills are
that
just
does do
paid
that.
like an equal billing payment plan, so you're paying the same amount every month, but
Yeah,
you know what I
because
mean?
on our bills it lists the how much per kilowatt hour, and then it has the little multiplying thing, and then your number that you pay
Right.
down there.
Huh.
Mm,
I know
where-
where
I don't know. You'd
definitely
know
have
more than me for
off-peak
sure,
hours, but
Yeah,
that's
we.
good advice though to look into that, because if you
Mhm,
can run
mhm.
the lights during off-peak times, then it's going to cost you less.
We do have some tariffs like that in the UK. I mean, at least we used to. It was called
Yeah.
economy heating or something like that.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So what are you paying in the UK then per kilowatt hour? Do you know?
I don't know, mate. Okay,
Because
gotta ask Mrs. M. She would know. She
we're
knows like, all of that shit, man.
like on peak, we can be up to 40 cents a kilowatt hour.
Right.
I'm
So-
logging in right now to check mine. I'm curious.
I know I'm grabbing a power bill right now.
It's like I can give you average on my. I'm around 11, just a little bit over 11 cents kilowatt hour.
Wow.
Yeah. So what's that?
And it's
11.
like Chad's area is going to be averaging something a little over 10 cent a kilowatt hour.
Yeah, I'm 0.0911, so basically 9 cents a
Mhm.
kilowatt hour. So yeah, I'm
Hydroelectric
sure it's
power,
going up.
man. That's it.
Yeah.
11. Here we go. I'm just
And
working
it's-
out the conversions now.
Over
My
30
average-
pence high rate here for Chilbert says over 30 pence per kilowatt hour.
My
Chilbert.
average cost is 276 per day, and so that's my entire house during what month was this?
0.006.
During August. So that's
Wow.
not cold, not warm either.
Mhm.
But
I don't know
yeah,
what
that's
this
not
is.
bad, man. I'll pay that.
$0.006393 per kilowatt hour. So is that like point? It's like fuck all, isn't it?
No,
no.
6 cents a kilowatt hour.
Yeah, no. That,
Could some of you guys put like some electricity in the post
That's
and send me
something else.
some? That would be cool.
Phonics is getting
Yeah.
3 cents
Yeah,
in southern
3 cents.
Oklahoma.
What?
that's not mine.
Chilbert said there as well. Daily standing charge is high in the UK. That's right. Every day you have to pay something just for being connected to the electricity, and you also have a high kilowatt per hour charge as well. It's an absolute fucking farce, man.
Funny enough, like some of the old school legacy growers who are doing things on such a large scale would actually factor this into their decision because it was illegal everywhere. So they would look which state has the cheapest electricity, and they would go there.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
it's kind of crazy, but it makes sense.
It's a massive
to the
overhead,
point of
man.
the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, so going on all of that, I just did a quick conversion, and it looks like you guys, your energy prices from what you were just saying in the States is half what we're paying in Australia.
America.
Fuck yeah.
Damn right.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Never mind all the fish. And no, I won't get into it.
But let's not talk about fish now.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the fish.
It's just crazy, man, how prices have changed so quickly, especially for us guys here in Europe. Sounds okay for you guys there in the States still. And, you know, Australia's also suffering a little there. But you really do need to consider the electricity you're using here in the UK now, and any of you guys in Europe too. And just try and reduce where you can, you know, try and reduce, make the equipment you're using more efficient. They've all got them ratings on nowadays, like A for energy efficiency, a B, C, D, you know, and it gets, you want to try and get A every time. You might pay a little bit more on the initial cost when you're buying the appliance, but it's worth it in the long run, especially nowadays with that fucking huge electricity bill. Crazy,
I mean, there's
man.
a few different ways you can also, you know, if it's going to be ridiculously hot, pardon me, ridiculously hot through the day, like we get here, you're better off running your lights at night because it's going to be the cooler time. You know, it may be a bit more expensive because you're running then on peak, but you're not then going to have to cool. Do you know what I mean? So like you by having it run at night, you're not then having to run aircon or whatever to cool it. And then for you guys at night, running lights would warm it. you may be able to get away with not having them during the day if it's a bit warmer during the day. I know it gets ridiculously cold up there compared to down here, but you know what I mean? Like there's ways you can sort of move around it as well if you're going to run it that way. But solar, that's a great thing to get into.
Yeah, if you can get any of that shit, you know, if you can get any renewables, something that's going to make a difference in that way, that's always a good idea. But we don't really have that many of those options either in the UK. We have shit skies, you know, so using solar isn't quite I mean, it gathers some electricity, but it's not going to gather a shitload.
It gets a bit windy though. You can put a big fan on your roof, piss off your neighbors with a woof, 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 woof.
Yeah, piss me off, man.
Yeah.
But Shonoff had a good idea there as well about conserving the heat. A black seal tub of water in the tent works well to keep things warm for a while. If you have space for it, it heats up when the lights are on and slowly dissipates it through the night. So that's a good idea, man. And insulation as well. Just even throwing fucking blankets or getting some of those insulation boards, you know, them ones. You know what I mean, right? Everybody?
The foam, the foam boards.
Yeah, the foam boards. Some of those, put that around your tent, that will lock in the heat a little bit more. Obviously, you want it to be reflective on the inside because that's going to make the most out of the light.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen guys wrap them in pink bats. Like the house insulation and stuff like that. So.
And always where you have such an extreme variance from heat to cold in a short distance, just keep an eye out for condensation.
Yeah. And that's another point as well. Things like dehumidifiers, humidifiers, things like that. You know, it's not really necessary for the whole grow, especially in veg. The plants will just adjust and do what they can. It only really adjust those kind of things, like add a humidifier if you're really off the levels you're supposed to be. But just don't be too crazy about it anymore, man. Stop being so strict like that. Let the plants deal with their thing and do their thing. You don't need most of the appliances. You need light and you need fans. That's the most important shit. Again, if you're in your house, then you're heating your house and your plants will be okay at those temperatures as well. So don't worry about that too much. You're having a heater in there if it's unnecessary. Just do what you can, man. Just reduce what you can. Sorry, Bubble.
I don't normally use a dehumidifier until about mid to late flower. Because between the start and they're enjoying it anyway. And if you've got your air running around, you're not going to have to worry about things like powdery mildew just because it's high. And in fact, the higher intensity you're running, probably better to have a higher humidity level anyway. So I find, well, I mean, because I'm using CO2 bags and things like that too. So it does help to have a little bit of a higher humidity level. But once it comes to when we're getting some thick buds going, 100% I'm throwing a dehumidifier in. But that will also warm the room. That's the other side of that. I've had dehumidifiers warm the room as well as they're taking that water out. So
not always the best thing to have in the summertime when you're trying to keep it cooler in there.
Not fun when you got 35-degree temps in the tent.
That's it. You know, everybody's grow setup is different and it's going to have different gearing and your electricity costs are going to be different. So just like any of the grow guides which we have here on the podcast, you can come and ask for help and ask any questions over at percysgrowroom.com and we'll be able to answer any questions and help you out. Like if you need to think of some ways to reduce the energy costs in your grow tent, then just come and ask for help, man, and we'll help you figure out what you can, trim off. But going for 12-12 from seed, I think is going to be a good option there. Going for the TG route, 12-12 straight from seed, just grow more plants instead of doing 4 and going for, give them a 6 weeks veg on 18-6. Just go fucking 16 and give them 12-12 from the off and just go for a shitload of small ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's considerations obviously with plant counts and things like this, but yeah, I have videos on my YouTube that I'm running a micro-grow series right now. If anybody wants to have a look at it, but yeah, it's a really good way to minimize your footprint and save a bit of energy. I guess you don't get as much, so you do have to do a little bit of math to figure out if that's going to be enough for you, but generally it is for most. So,
and of course what you need to be doing over this winter time is figuring out where the fuck you're going to grow outdoors next year, because that's going to be what's happening in the future. You can't keep paying these stupid prices for the energy bills, man. So if you can find a place to grow outdoors where it's all essentially done for free, get on that shit, man. It'll save you a fortune. It'll save you hundreds of pounds every month. So
one thing I will say is if you have the ability to, and you are really hurting as far as the electricity side goes, don't forget they're plants. They grow outside. You can always go and do a guerrilla run somewhere. You can always, I mean, be safe about it, obviously, but that is an option. If, and you're not having to worry about anything else. So you got the sun, that'll warm up. As long as you're doing it in the right season, you should be fine. So that's an option if you want to save a bit of money.
I want to add in genetics too. Look for something that's shorter flowering. Go for your 8-week flower versus your 12-week flower.
Good point.
Good point, man. Really good point.
Yeah.
65, 70-day autos instead of 110-day autos, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, you do kind of, you don't get to grow your hazes or your 16-weekers, but I mean, by and large, there's a lot of good short flower stuff out there too. So yeah, that's a really good. I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah,
that's it. There's so many different aspects to what you could do to try and reduce the energy. Windowsill for seedlings, Gilbert suggested there. That would work for a little bit. Just do what you can, man. Every little helps at the end of the day. Whatever you can trim off is going to reduce the price of the energy bills. But make sure you have efficient lighting. No more HPS. It's time to get a decent quality LED, which you can get from HLG, or you can even win over at percysgrow.com in the pumpkin carving competition. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
It's coming.
There you go.
And Bubble Hacker, you got one of these lights, which was one, right?
I definitely do, and it is more than enough light. It does a lot. Like it. I mean, I've got an SE 7000 Spider Farmer and a HLG 600R in my 4x8, and there was no way I was hitting 100%. No way,
Nice.
not unless I was pumping gas into that tent, and I'm not going that far. If you know what I mean? Like I didn't need to go that far, but it was more than enough. The buds are perfect. They've got plenty of frost on them. So trichome production was amazing, and they were nice and dense. So
it's another good point there, mate. Really get a light with a dimmer on it so you can dim it when necessary. So you're not using, if you're using it at 50%, it's a lot less electricity than 100% in it.
Yeah.
Most lights have the dimmers, right? And that's again, like Chad said, lower par and veg, just crank your dimmer down. Super easy.
Now, there's a practice that I use in late flower that's going to be controversial, but I do like to dim my lights in late flower. I'll bring my intensity down to 60, 70% in late flower, and I don't find that it causes any reduction in yield. I think actually it may actually do the opposite, but I can't prove it, so I'm not going to claim it. But it definitely does save energy by going less light. I mean, there's situations I've got 1 tent lights, no dimmer, so of 2 lights in there, I just basically disconnect one for the last 2 weeks. 50% energy saved right there.
Yeah, man. It all adds up, bro. It all adds up, man. You just have to do what you have to do to survive,
Yeah. I was definitely an impromptu sponsor name drop there, Gellert. I promise you. I didn't have that written down. That wasn't planned. Mackie asked. I answered.
Skilled. Just segueing it in there,
We always talk about products we believe in. It's all good.
Yeah. Otherwise, we wouldn't be bleeding on about Stores and Bickle as much as we do.
Because they don't sponsor us, the fuckers.
But this damn Mighty's about welded in my hand. It's always there. So
yeah.
I've
considered
Ali Bongo sponsors everybody. So you can go get your Mighty from Ali Bongo and get 15% off. Go and do it. If you don't have a Mighty yet, then go do it, man. Go do it. Here in the UK as well, they were telling you you should start charging your phone after 8 p.m. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, come on. The phone doesn't charge that. It doesn't take that much.
Telling people to cook their dinner at after 8 o'clock at night. It's like, come on, man.
So reheat it tomorrow, huh?
It's like if people finish work at 5 o'clock, come home. It's like, I'm going to sit here for 3 hours before I'm allowed to cook. Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
Hey,
know what I mean?
If
You know
I
what you
want-
could do? Don't spill fucking 13 billion barrels of oil in the Gulf. That's what you could not do, British fucking petroleum. How does that sound? You tell me, turn my cooker off. You fix your shit before you start talking to me, cheeky fuckers. Sorry, I'm not going to go off on a rant. I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying, all right? I'm just saying. Biggest
I live around the
environmental
Gulf.
disaster of all fucking time. And you want to tell us to turn the cooker off? Get a grip.
I
God,
live in that area, man. What the hell are you talking about? And you're ranting about it.
God damn. It's just
If I want a beef Wellington at 1 a.m, I'm having a damn
We're
beef Wellington at 1
sorry.
a.m. I don't care.
you know, we're sorry.
Yeah.
We cleaned it up with all these dead birds.
Dead birds sucking up all the oil. Oh my God.
I'm still stuck on the Exxon Valdez. Do you remember that one, Monkey?
Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
do.
I remember
Yeah.
that
Well,
shit.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
That was a bad
we
one.
learned about it in school. Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. I feel your rant, Mackie. I
Yeah,
feel your
yeah.
rant.
I'm sure we all do, man. You know, it's just the cheek of these fucking companies that come in and tell us that we need to do better, or they do whatever the fuck they like. You get a grip. Sort your shit out. Lead by example, motherfuckers. Okay.
Hey man, we BP. We got all the energy we want.
Good. You have British Petroleum in the Gulf, innit? Yeah, fucking cheeky bastards. Fucking.
Yeah,
I think,
just because it's British doesn't mean it only does business there. It's worldwide these days, man.
Yeah,
Well, British was worldwide once, you know.
Well, I mean, Shell is over there in the North Sea drilling and stuff. Yeah.
We said a bubble,
The thing-
sorry.
I was going to say the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is how big those fucking ships are. Like they're until you see them face on, like you see all the photos on the news and that, and you're like, oh yeah, big ship, lots of oil. No, they're massive.
Mhm.
Like there's a big picture we had here a couple of years ago, the Pasha Bolka, which was a container ship, got blown in bad weather and beached in Newcastle on the beach there, and it looked like something someone had superimposed this ship on the beach because it's that fucking big. But when you see them on the horizon, you're like, oh yeah, you know, container ship, whatever. Nah, man, they're massive. They are huge.
Just
I'll see if I
think
can
the
find photos.
opening scene of Star Wars.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. When
The ship
just destroyers just coming into screen.
There we go. Picture painted.
Yep, I like it. That works.
But, you know, and it's not like we shouldn't all be doing what we can to reduce our carbon footprint and use less energy. You know, that we all need to be more conscious of that shit. And raising the prices like this, I suppose they're going to make us all try and be a little bit more economically friendly. But still, it feels like we're just being fucked over here in Europe right now, and the UK. They're charging us way more than everywhere else in the world. And we are shit up in the North Sea, man. What the fuck?
Well, as long as a certain other country doesn't blow up your pipelines.
Boy, let's not get into that, bro.
I didn't say anything. I said nothing.
You insinuated it's good enough. YouTube's got to be on our ass. Like you said, pipeline.
Yeah.
Shit, man. Crazy times. But
Yeah,
I think
for
we
everybody.
might all be okay. We'll keep you updated on that shit.
Mhm.
World's going fucking crazy. But yeah, winter is coming. That's right, Dave. Not for you though, bro. You're way down there on the other side of the coin. Winter's coming for you. But winter's coming here in the UK. And we're gonna have to put the heat on, man. We're gonna have to put the heat on.
There's honestly, there's probably some power companies in the UK that have missed an opportunity to have Jon Snow just standing there. Winter is coming. You know?
Yeah. They don't need to pay for advertisement anymore. They own the politicians.
Yeah. Well,
Ridiculous, man. It's like what's the name of this new chick? I completely lost. Liz Truss, the new Tory Prime Minister that we have. She used to work for Shell, and she got paid like 1.5 million or something by Shell, and then she becomes Prime Minister. And you know what she says? No windfall tax on the energy companies. It's like, oh, really? Why not? Is it because they're your fucking friend? You crooked ass motherfucker. Oh my God, man. It's
Stock.
ridiculous.
She owns stock.
Ridiculous. They're blatantly paid her. It's like, it's just so blatant now. At least back 30 years ago, they used to try and cover it up and not rub our fucking faces in it. But now they don't give a shit.
And now they take pictures of it and put it on the internet.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
this is the prime minister taking a bribe right
Fucking-
here. Here you go.
Absolutely ridiculous. She's clearly got conflict of interest, comes into office, and this is why we're having all this economical turmoil in the UK right now, is because she's come along and cut all the taxes for all these big corporations, including her friend Shell. It's like, but can we do something about this? Can we, you want to arrest people for growing a few fucking plants in their bedroom, but when you're swindling the whole country out of that much money because your friend fucking paid you off, nobody's going to do anything about this.
But that plant's cannabis.
Yeah, that could
Dave,
kill people,
Dave.
mate. Could kill people.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
Dave hit the nail on the head there. That's just normal here.
yeah.
It's we had pollies that were taking private helicopters off to vineyards and shit like that and charging the taxpayer like $50,000 for a flight, and they only had to go like 20 minutes up the road, and they could have just jumped in a car, but instead,
Wow.
I'm taking the helicopter.
Yeah, we had one of those here too.
Yeah.
Starting to feel like the 70s. Remember? I wasn't
Well,
around in the
North
70s, man.
Battleford, like for fuck's sakes, North Battleford. Ugh.
But people are getting pissed off with this shit now, and people are starting to see that they're all crooked and we're not going to do any good. And the Labour Party is like 33 points in the lead, and it's like, it's only because the Tories are doing so fucking bad. It's not like Labour's any good either. It's just nobody wants to vote for them. Nobody's wanting to vote for them for so fucking long because they've gone shit. But now the Tories are doing so bad. The Labour's 33 points ahead. It's like, oh my God, man.
That's what
How
happened
bad
on
it
our
is.
last one. The Libs were doing that bad because they were blatant bullshit. Like, it's like, oh yeah, like the amount of rorts and shit that was going on, and everyone's like, nah, we've had enough of this shit. So they vote in Labour.
I say, you want to know the best way to reduce your energy bills? Get these crooked ass politicians out of office, and let's get some fucking real shit done, man. We need a public owned fucking energy company. We can't just keep leaving it up to these people who just steal, because it's not as if they are making money. They're making record profits, man. Like, not even little bit record profits. They're smashing previous records while we're all paying the bill. It's like, are you serious? It's just rubbed in our faces, man. This is getting too ranty now. This is supposed to be about reducing energy bills, and we just sorry, Bubba Hawk.
No, I was just going to say, do your politicians get a lifetime pension?
So
if
they
serve,
they get
they
everything, man. They get fucking everything.
Like, let's stop that shit. Why is that still a thing? Surely they don't need to, you do one term and then you get a lifetime pension. No.
Well, you have to remember who made that law.
Well, yeah, but we don't have a choice. That's the point. We don't have a choice in that. It's just, oh yeah, they voted it in. Like the last election they had, within like 2 weeks, they'd already voted themselves in a pay rise. It's like, come on, man. The rest of the country's hurting. The economy's shit.
That's
it's crashing. And
just
you guys are
rubbed in our
faces,
man. Just blatant in our faces. Like, yeah, but you know what? Fuck you. Ha 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 ha. What you gonna do about it? And here we are doing nothing about it, man. We have to do something about it eventually. Rant. I could go on all day about this shit. And this is why I like American politics, man, because I can just watch what's going on over there and ignore the shit we're in here. God damn. And they're putting that ugly guy on the coin. God damn.
I was going to say, I'm just sitting here going like, you guys are such copycats. We've already done this.
I think we're working off your model. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you're doing it very well.
Yes, thank you. Fucking wankers fucking hate government, man.
I would say the UK's doing it better because they've got a family there that sponges for free. Really,
they don't sponge, bro. They don't. They bring in lots of tourism to the country. Yeah, apparently.
I tell you what, if I was going to the UK, it wouldn't be for them.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Just saying.
I'm not here for them either. You know.
Fuck.
But I think that's about. We should hit these listener mail questions. Well, again, if anybody has any questions on how they could possibly reduce the energy costs of their grow room, come over to Percys and ask us, man. We'll be happy to figure out what you can trim off and reduce the price of. So do that. But the best idea is try not to use a heater unless you really have to. Try not to use dehummer and a humidifier unless you really have to, and use LED lighting rather than HID. And that would reduce the cost as much as possible. And of course, what you can always do to reduce the cost is reduce the size of your setup if that's an option. You know, just like grow half the amount of plants in half the size tent. You could do that. Get another rotation on. You know, like every 2 weeks, put one plant in. That would work. Just a smaller tent, but just got to figure it out, man. Each person got a different situation. So if you need help, come and ask over at Percys. So we have a question here from Woody, and this is more like for you, TG, you soil guy. How do I change the pH of my soil, either in a planted pot or in loose soil?
Well, there's lots of ways, I suppose. Probably the fastest and easiest would be using pH down in whatever water and feeding it, you know, a lower or higher pH water, depending on what you're trying to do. But you can add stuff. I know bone or blood meal tends to be a little bit acidic. Coffee grounds can increase the acidity in your soil. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff because you don't, like, coffee grounds will rot, so you don't want to do too much of that. There's a source of nitrogen too. So if you're having too much nitrogen, maybe that's not the best idea. But wood ash, you know, you can use for a pH up. Dolomite lime also works as a slower release thing. Wood ash you got to be careful with because it tends to be higher in sodium, and then you can have sodium issues. You don't want a lot of sodium in your soil. But I mean, yeah, it kind of just depends on what is in your soil, I guess, firstly, because whatever you do to it is gonna, you know, either gonna be done fast or slow, you know, depending on the buffers and depending on how much stuff is in your soil or what's wrong with it will indicate, I guess. I don't know what the fuck word I'm trying to. Sorry, I just smoked a bunch of fucking butter. So I'm like spaced out.
You've been smashing through it tonight, you have, bro.
Yeah.
Like, don't know how much rosin now. You're on some butter, and I guarantee you've been doing
The
some
butter
hash
doesn't
in there
taste very
too.
good, I have to say, but yeah.
Mm.
I don't know, like it depends what's in your soil first and what you're trying to achieve. But generally, yeah, like I use pH down to keep my soil at a 6.6, 6.4 sort of thing. But you do get a bit of drift. Flushing it can help. There's like some really fucked up shit in there causing issue. Flushing out and resetting with a nice balanced pH watering can help as well. Outside, it's a bit more like, you know, because it's an open environment and you have a lot more things going on generally, it's slower and you don't generally want to apply. I don't know, like outdoor isn't really my forte, but again, it really depends on what you're trying to do in terms of go up or down. But yeah, there's certain things like I mentioned that you can add into your soil that will hopefully bring it down or up, depending on what you want.
One thing that I remember that Woody posted recently is that he had added wood ash and flour to try and, I guess, maybe add nutrients or change pH. And he found that, unfortunately, when he harvested, the weed tastes like ash.
Hmm.
Are you sure that's not because you burnt it? And then
I'm not really sure, but
You know.
he's basically looking at a whole harvest that he can't use right now because it tastes
like ash. That's weird.
That's what he said, tastes like ash. And, you know, I can relate a little bit to that because I can remember the first attempt at me trying to grow cannabis. I fed fish emulsion late and that weed tastes like fish.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it depends on the time, I guess, and when you're adding that. And then are you flushing at the end to flush some of that out and let the plant just eat what it's got left?
I use fish a lot.
Yeah.
Too.
But you probably don't use it in late flower like 2 weeks before you pull it or something like that, though.
Pretty close, but yeah.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe I just can't taste fish. But I've heard that from other people. But I don't know. Like the way the plants absorb stuff, like scent compounds are fairly complex molecules, and I'm not sure that really gets absorbed. You know what I mean? Into the plant. But maybe, like, I'm no botanist, so maybe there's something to it. But anyway, yeah. It just like, Yeah, what I guess it would help if I knew exactly what was wrong with the soil and what
Not
was in
really
the
sure.
to begin with, but yeah, that'd be my
Yeah, man.
answer.
Good answer. I hope that helps there, Woody.
Sorry, man.
But
Yeah.
we also have this one from Jella. If we get this done in 5 minutes, we can do another 420. So from
Oh, yeah.
Gellert, sorry. Question: when in early flower, is it an issue if the room humidity raises when in the dark cycle? I have a 20-liter dehum in my grow room that I put on when the room humidity starts to get close to 60, but was wanted to know if it was overly worrying and running the dehum needlessly. In early flower, I'd say you don't really need it, and it's always going to happen when you go on to when the lights go off, because there's a extreme room temperature change. It gets from warm to cold, so any moisture in the air is going to settle on the side of the tents and on the plants and shit. So the bigger difference in between them two temperatures means there'll be more water. The bigger the difference, you know. So, but if you just keep your fan running and keep your extraction going, then that shit would be gone pretty quick. When you get later into the flower and the flowers are big and you got that bigger chance of the mold spores germinating, then yeah, run your dehum them just to make sure no shit's going on. But in the early days, you should be okay.
I just want to say too, like, you know, watch out for how big of a spike you get. If it's going, you know, up to like 80, 85 or 90, obviously that's a concern for mold. But below that, it's also VPD, or the vapor pressure deficit, basically transpiration, the amount that your plant sweats. If it's in a very high humid environment, it's not going to uptake water as quickly because it's not sweating it out as quickly. So that can leave your root zone kind of wetter longer. You might have to adjust your watering schedule because that will stay a little bit wetter if it's not taking it up, because it's not or because it's too humid outside in the environment. So that's kind of a consideration just to keep an eye on. If it stays too wet down in your root zone, you could eventually start locking out nutrients, and then you'll see purple stems or different colors. But yeah, if it spikes too much, be aware of that.
So yes, good show, everybody. But Chad, tell everybody where they can find you, man. And thank you for joining us, of course. We massively appreciate the long, man.
And always a pleasure. Thank you for having me back. I love this group, and it was nice to get Temple Grower in on this one as well. So stoked. You can find me. I've actually done a few things to my website. Holy crap. And it only took me 2 years. ChadWestport.com. Check some things out there. Also on Instagram, chad.westport. And I do a couple of YouTube channels, the Future Cannabis Project, as well as Chad Westport. So that's where you're going to find all of the fun stuff that I'm doing.
Nice. And Marge, of course, you also have your podcast. You want to let everybody know where they can find your stuff too?
Yeah, for sure. I am the host of Bite Me, the show about edibles, and you can find that on pretty much every podcasting platform. So whatever your favorite is, you'll find me there. And I also have a website, bitemepodcast.com.
Nice. And TG, you also have a website shit you can tell everybody about now too, right?
Yeah. Well, again, I've had it for just like Chad, 2 years, and unlike Chad, I still haven't actually done anything with it. However, it is active, and there are a little bit of contact info if you need to get a hold of me for any reason. It's at templegrowing.com. But mostly I'm on Twitter and Instagram. Not so much Instagram, mostly Twitter. I'm around the website and here every Sunday with you guys.
Sunday.
Yeah, man. So I mentioned, if you're into the micro grows, that's kind of been my focus for the last while. It's getting people, people that might not have thought they want to grow. It's like, oh, I can just have it beside my computer and I don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can do that.
It's a good way to get people involved, man.
Yeah, not bitch. You're not a bitch.
It means like in a Jesse Pinkman way of saying bitch.
Yeah, like friendly, like bitch, like on Rick and Morty there.
Science, bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, thanks, bitch. Remember that? Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Let's wrap this show up. I'll put some music on for everybody here. Let me click that. It's going to be like 40 seconds till it kicks in. So we got to smoothly tangent it out somehow.
In 40 seconds.
Yeah, in 40 seconds. Don't forget to go and get involved in them competitions over at Percy's, everybody. You know, the pumpkin carving one is going to be starting on the 14th, and everybody is able to join that. Okay, so that means you can sign up now and comment for a couple of weeks. Competition opens, and you might have a chance of winning the HLG light, everybody. So give it a shot. And of course, for the known members, and even the Percys Grow Room members, you know, the new guys, get over there and sign up as well. And we'll do a promotion for known members before we wrap up that competition. So you might get a chance to get in there if you have enough posts and stuff. So, you know what I'm saying, Amargon? You know what I'm saying? Wink, wink, bro. Wink, wink.
No,
Get your posts up, bro. Get your posts up.
The next 3 days is just going to be posts from Namargon.
You know what I'm saying?
Spamming everything like one word at a time in a post.
Yes, man. It's been a good one, everybody, and we'll catch you next week. If you have any suggestions for news articles or grow guide subjects that you'd like us to cover, then you know where to find us over at percysgrowroom.com or on Facebook. Don't use that very often, so don't go there. Twitter or Instagram. All right, that'll be the best place.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Way to sell it. Way to
You
sell
know
it.
what I'm saying? Hashtag fuck Facebook. See you on the next one, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
What a way to sign off.
Hater masturbators.
Later, guys.
And there we go, everybody. That was everything wrapped up in the end there, pretty much. So there's not much for me to say here other than make sure you go over to percysgrowroom.com and sign up so you can enter the pumpkin carving competition and win the HLG Blackbird. That's a £700 light that you can win by being involved in the pumpkin carve-off. So make sure you get on it. Also, there's new competitions from Weed Seed Express over at Percys where you can enter and win 10 seeds of any strain you like from the list they have provided. So come and get involved, man. This is where you can win some free stuff. There's absolutely nothing you have to pay to be a member of Percys. It's all completely free, just like this podcast is. It's all free. We just want more people growing and more people enjoying it. So come and join the community. It would be a pleasure to have you over there. But for now, thank you for downloading and listening to the show. We appreciate every single one of you listeners out there. So thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for sharing. And thanks for supporting the show the way you do. We'll catch you on Sunday for the live show at youtube.com/highandhomegrown. See you there, everybody. Have a good weekend. Stay safe and stay high. See you later. Goodbye.